Here's how to animate Spider-Man's eyes like in the Tom Holland movies. We're going to be using After Effects and the base version of Boris FX Mocha. If you don't know what that is, if you have a relatively new version of After Effects, I'm sure you have it. If not, I don't know, pirate it, I guess. Since this is a direct request by International Spider-Man on TikTok, I don't think he'll sue me if I use a clip from one of his videos for our footage. You'll also want this video that you're watching because I made this asset for the eyes opening and closing. So find a way to download this video, or you can just screen record it with your phone or computer like I do. Last thing I have to say before we get started, this effect would not be possible if it wasn't for Cinecom.net's tutorial. The first 80% of this effect is just their tutorial on motion stabilization. So if there's something that you don't understand or want to know more about, please go watch their video, link in description. All right, let's do this. All right, so bringing your footage into the timeline. I chose this clip because he moves his head around a lot and nothing ever obstructs his eye. It's perfect, except right here. His eye goes completely out of frame, and this tutorial can only be as simple as Mocha can track, and Mocha can't track things that go out of frame like this. So we really can only edit up until right here. So we're gonna hit Option or Alt, right bracket or end bracket. And we're gonna hit the letter N to change our workspace. So this is all we're gonna be editing. Keep that in mind if you're gonna film this video. Don't look away, don't do anything too funky with your head, but stuff like this should be perfectly okay. So let's go to the very beginning. Let's go to Animation, Track in Boris FX Mocha. Click here to launch Mocha. So make sure your workspace is in classic mode. Get the pen tool. We have to do one eye at a time. I'm sorry, it's the only way to make this tutorial simple. Go around that eye, maybe get the mouse tool and fine tune it a little bit. That looks pretty good. And click here to track forward. Sorry if this tutorial feels like I'm going a little slow or I'm saying things that are obvious. I really want this to be accessible to people who are opening After Effects for the first time. So bear with me if you're like an After Effects professional. Perfect. We have a really nice track of his right eye. So now click on Activate what's it called? Activate Quick Stabilize Mode. This is why we have it Workspace Classic, so we can see this. Now we can hit Command or Control S to save, and we can exit. Now open up your tracking data, create track data. It's gonna be layer 1, hit OK, click Invert, and then go to your effects and presets. We're gonna need something called Power Pin. Now, it's gonna look really scary at first, but don't worry, I'm gonna hold your hand through this. Hold down Option or Alt, and click on the first 4 stopwatches. I know this looks really intimidating, but watch how simple this is. Go to top left. We're gonna parent by grabbing this little swirly thing, this to this top left. Same thing, top right, parent to this top right. Bottom left, this bottom left. Bottom right, yes, bottom right. Okay, now we can collapse this again. Hope that wasn't too scary. Where'd everything go? Oh, that actually scared me. Okay, make sure these are to the right ones. I noticed one of them was off and my entire footage was gone. So if that happens to you, make sure you clicked on the right ones. So now our footage looks a little wonky because we have it perfectly tracked. So his right eye, that eye doesn't move. And that's gonna make it super easy to put all of our effects on. But this isn't how we want the final thing to look like, obviously, right? So holding down Shift, click on both of these effects to select both of them. Hit Command or Control C to copy. Right click, Pre-compose. We're gonna call this right eye for obvious reasons. Make sure it's selected to move all attributes into the new composition. Hit OK. And before we do anything else, hit Command or Control V to paste the effects onto this again. Except this time we're gonna hit Unstretch. Oh, well, it looks pretty good, but we have these lines over here. So what you gotta do is click on Collapse Transformations. If you don't see this little menu, click right here until you do. But there we go. Now, so it's exactly how we started, but here's the thing. If we double click on this comp, it'll open it up over here, and this has all that wonky features that we want. And why do we want that? Because if we were to put something over his eye, like let's put my name over his eye, it's gonna look really cool. We go back to the main comp and we watch it. It is perfectly tracked to his eye. This is gonna make it super easy for effects. So let's get into it. Go back to that composition, the right eye comp. You can delete my name. You can go back to project and bring in that eye animation. And I tried to make it as drastic and vibrant as I could. So even if you compress it through screen recording or downloading it off YouTube, it'll still look good. Go to your effects and presets, go to color range, double click to add it, get the first eyedrop tool, select that green, and usually you bring the fuzziness up to help things, but in this case, we actually want to bring it down to like 10. Because what we're going to do is we're going to add Advanced Spill Suppressor. that turns whatever is still green into like a dark blue that looks really well. So I have this first part here, this little silhouette of an eye to actually help us line it up. So with the eye footage selected, hit T to bring down opacity. Set it to 50% so it's like see-through. This will help us line it up. Hand tool, zoom in with a scroll wheel. We want to perfectly line up this eye with that eye. And I'm changing the scale by grabbing it. If you hold down shift, it keeps the proportion, but I kind of need to rotate it. So let's pull this down and kind of mess with rotation. It doesn't have to be perfect. I left a lot of room for error in the animation, but I mean, the more, try your hardest, you know? That looks pretty good. We can bring the opacity back up to 100. And what we're gonna do is gonna get confusing again, but just hold my hand, follow my voice, trust me. We're going to scroll forward. You can use page up to go back a frame and page down to go forward a frame. Go until right when it disappears. Now we're gonna hit Option or Alt, open bracket, and then we're going to go until the eye shuts. We want that last possible frame right there. So go page down, page down, page down, page down. Oh, right there. See? So back. So this is the frame. This is the last frame where this is the last frame where it moves. Hit Option or Alt, end bracket. Now, right click, time, enable time remapping. The confusing part's almost over. Just keep going. We're going to create a keyframe. We're going to go back to that first frame right here. And we're going to create another keyframe. Delete these ones. So now what we have, and we can make this as long as we want. We can go to the very beginning and the very end of our comp. So now what we have here are these little keyframes that'll help us animate. If this represents open and this represents shut, the closer they are together, the quicker the eye closes. And the farther away they are, the slower the eye closes. But if you want the eye to open, you got to take this, Command or Control C, go after and paste Command or Control V. So now the eye shuts really slow, but it opens up really fast. You can animate that however you want. If you want the eye to shut and then stay shut for a second, grab the shut keyframe, Command or Control C, Command or Control V, and now you can see the eye shuts, stays shut, and then it opens. But what all good is this if it doesn't look good? So let's go back to the main comp, and you can already see the problem is that we don't want to see all this other stuff out here. I didn't design it to be looked at. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring our footage again underneath, get that comp, hide it. We don't want to be looking at it, and get the pen tool and go to the probably be best if you do it on the very first frame and cut out the part of his eye that is white. So we can actually line this up. It doesn't have to be perfect. You can fine tune this at any point, but in my opinion, it's better to have a little bit of the black than the white because you'll see the white easier and it won't look as good. That looks pretty good. We can fine tune this later. So make that visible again. And now when we play through, oh, well, see this one I'm talking about. We can still fine tune it. It's going to look a little wonky because the mask is down here, but it still works accordingly. If you skim through, it's looking pretty good. I'm pretty proud of this. How does that look? It's looking pretty good so far. What would probably help is if we have this footage selected and we get the effect levels, double click to add it, and we can actually make it look a little bit darker. We want it to match the scene of our scene. Also, I should mention, go back to right eye, hide this because we don't want to be seeing this. We don't want two of the guy. We just want the eye. That's looking pretty good so far. Maybe I made it too dark though. Something like that. Play around with it until you like it. And the big trick to making this look realistic is the animation. So I think right here when he points, he's like, he should be squinting his eyes. So right here, his eyes should be open. So let's bring an open keyframe over here. And then maybe right like here, he shuts them. Let's bring a shut keyframe over here. So he goes like, bam. And then maybe right there, he opens them up again. I don't know, man. Do whatever your heart desires. Maybe like right there, they're open. That looks pretty good. Another thing to help them, at risk of getting too confusing, with the time remap selected, click on this graph. And you can play around with these. Make them smooth by clicking these buttons down here. And by playing with these, you can make them open up slowly and then shut quickly, or however. It's like a mask. So if we wanted them to kind of slowly open and then rapidly shut, that's how we would do it. But if we want them to kind of open more slowly, we kind of have this go out. It would open kind of open slowly until the very end. It would go wham. I mean, just play it around till you like it, you know? It's looking pretty good, honestly. I'm really proud of this. I invented this. It's not photorealistic, but I mean, it's quick. You can do this in, I think I did this like in 5 minutes. We're pretty good on time so far. Maybe when he shakes his head, they shut again. Maybe he's nodding his head in disapproval. Maybe, no, let's do something else. Maybe he's squinting his eyes. So right here, his eyes are between half open, half shut. So let's create a keyframe and let's take it over here. So maybe when he opens his eyes, he doesn't keep them open all the way. I'm loving this, dude. So now obviously we gotta do the other eye. So exact same step. Oh, right there. I forgot to stop it, but you see how bad it got? When you film your video, do not look away like this. But it looks pretty good up until that point, so I can just keep going. So just like last time, double click on that composition, bring in the animation. It's the exact same step as last time, except what you should do this time, hit S, unlink these because we're gonna have to flip them, type in -100, and then link them again, and then continue. Except this time we don't have to go through the whole time remapping process, because what we can do is we can go to right eye, we can create a keyframe because that's where After Effects is going to copy from. Select all of these, Command or Control C, go to left eye, go to the very beginning, enable time remapping, delete these ones, Command or Control V, and make sure this is long enough. And what we now have, make sure they're both enabled, make sure that we can see both of them. Now we have the moving in coordination, except we have to get rid of the excess again. So go to Project, bring in some footage, hide this footage, go to the very beginning, and just like before, trace out his eye. Sweet. Enable so we can see it again. It's looking pretty good, but just like last time, you got to fine tune it. Another way to help these look a little bit more realistic is to put on motion blur for both of these. You might have to adjust the mask again, but it will help it blend in. And if you did any kind of color grading with levels to the right eye, copy it, and you should probably paste it to the left eye as well, so they look even. Dog, that's good. You look at us. Who'd have thought? And if I really wanted to like keep going with this, I'd probably do some like audio noises with like some motors whirring around so they could like shut, like how they do in the movies. But as for visuals, I think that's pretty good. Another thing we can do with this, because we have his eye perfectly tracked, what we can do is we spend some time. And if you mess around for a little bit, you can do much better than this. But I kind of try to make it look like you had the instant kill thing by what I do. I put a little faded red thing, a white thing, an adjustment layer to do a little displacement map of some like glass or something I looked up on Google. And it looks pretty bad, but if you took time with this, this is just a tool to motion track to his eyes. Also, I forgot, that's how you do it if you want the eyes to be exactly the same. Maybe he should wink at the very beginning with the right eye. I would just do that by, if this is an open keyframe, where's a shut keyframe? Here we have a closed keyframe. We would copy it, we would paste it, and that, and we would just do it to only one eye and not the other. So you should wink. You get the point. And really, that's it. Obviously, if you're actually going to do something with this, take more time with the animation, really think when his eyes would be shut, when they'd be open, how fast, things like that. I mean, have fun with it. But if this is your first After Effects tutorial, you probably don't know how to export and have your video actually saved. So I'm going to do a quick little rundown on that. You're going to go to, with your composition selected, File, Export, Add to Render Queue. You're going to go down here. This should pop up. I like to keep mine right here. Output module, lossless, click right there. QuickTime is a good one, and you're going to go to Format Options, Video Codec. Animation doesn't play with many programs. If you have an iOS, if you're on a Mac right now, Apple ProRes is the best. It's only on Apple, and it's the best by far. If you do not, I used to not have Apple, so I'm pretty sure I would use one of these, whatever my format was. I'm editing 1080p, I think it was 25. I'd probably go with this one, but I'm Apple, so I'm going to go 422 HQ, hit OK, OK. And then right here, you're just going to click wherever you want to save it. Let's go to Documents. Let's go Spider-Man. And you hit enter and you render. That's it. Thank you for watching. I hope you learned something. I hope this didn't scare you from After Effects. Let me know if you do any changes. If you notice anything how to make this effect better, comment it down below. I hope it wasn't obvious, but this is my very first tutorial on YouTube. Okay, love you, bye.